Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Revenue. I'm Paul Erie, and I want to talk about a question that I get frequently. What type of property should I invest in, commercial or residential? I get this question from new investors, from beginning investors, and they really don't know where to start. Now, it's no secret on this channel that I do not like residential real estate as an investment. I love houses. I love building houses. I love renovating houses, but I don't like to own them as an investment. I like commercial properties, but let me go through a couple of the aspects of each of those types and explain why I feel that way. But then I'm going to say something at the end that might surprise you about residential real estate. So I like commercial because I like properties that people do not live in. Now, the one exception, there's multifamily properties. Those are commercial if you have 5 units or more, and people live in those. So that's one reason I do not invest in multifamily properties. Another reason is they are highly regulated by the government, and they are very property management intensive. So those are properties that I just stay away from. I don't like that. And to me, it's just not my thing. Uh, so the other property types, I have invested in all three of those. Uh, that would be industrial. That's my favorite kind, office buildings and retail centers. Now, those fall outside of that Fair Housing Act. There's very little regulation, if any, on those properties when it comes to the federal government. And I like that. Those properties uh, can be a lot less management intensive than multifamily. They're a lot easier to manage, a lot easier to take care of. For one reason, there's nobody living in those properties, causing damage and complaining about things, having things go wrong with their property or with their space that they're renting. So what are some of the other things I like about commercial? Well, number one, commercial properties are going to make you more money than residential. You're going to get more bang for the buck. The second thing is longer leases. Where residential, you're probably not going to get more than a 12-month lease. In commercial, most of my commercial properties have never gone under 5 years for a lease. Most leases in commercial properties these days are running at a minimum of 3 years, and most of them are averaging 5 years. And I have seen some, I've written some leases for clients that were 10 years and more. So very long leases in commercial real estate. Triple net leases. Triple net leases are great because the tenant pays your expenses on the property. And the property is a lot easier to sell if you ever decide to sell it when you have triple net leases. Also in commercial, if someone doesn't pay their rent, they stop paying, if they default on their lease, it's a lot easier to get them out of that property than if it's a residential property. So what is it about residential that I don't like? Well, residential properties are highly regulated. People live in them. You have you're under somebody's microscope in those properties. Apartments, multifamily, they do make a lot of money, but single family residential is not very profitable. And it's definitely not profitable enough for me to go to that extra trouble to have that kind of property and manage it. Now, I love houses. I like to build them. I like to renovate them. I just don't like to have them rented out to people. So for that reason, I don't buy those as rentals. Now, if that's where you need to get started, or if you like those properties, then that's great. Garrett Gunderson is a financial person on YouTube. You'll see him on YouTube. You see him on his website, wealthfactory.com. He's written several books. What Would the Rockefellers Do? Killing Sacred Cows. He has something called Investor DNA. And that is what type of investments are suited to you. And you have to decide that for yourself. So I've kind of adopted that into the real estate world. And I talk about real estate investor DNA. And residential real estate is just not in my investor DNA, not in my real estate investor DNA. And It might be in yours, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on that. So if that's your thing, if you liked residential real estate and you like dealing with renters and providing a home for people, then go for buying houses, go for duplexes and fourplexes. Um, that could be your key financial independence. The important thing is get started. That's the important thing. Uh, you might, you might like residential, you might like commercial. It doesn't matter. Just get started. You have to start with one of them. A lot of people start with residential and eventually migrate into commercial. And that's a good way to do that. I mean, it makes it, there's an easy transition there. It's good to get your feet wet with houses. We all grew up in houses and apartments. It's our comfort zone. And if that's what you need to do to get started, then that's what you should do, because you have to get started somewhere. And sometimes that is the easiest way to do it. But I would encourage you as an investor to skip residential and go straight to commercial. There is even a way that you can combine the two. And what I'm talking about is buying a house and turning it into a commercial property, or buying a commercial property that used to be a house and has already been turned into an office or a small retail building. There are a lot of those around. We have these things all over the place. You probably don't even notice them, but they're offices. A lot of times they're law offices, insurance offices, maybe a dentist's office, hair salons. Move into those things. You get into them cheaper. You can make the value of those properties skyrocket if you buy it as a house and turn it into a commercial property. If you get it in a high traffic area where it's not maybe as safe to have as a house anymore, maybe the traffic on the street has gotten so high, people don't want to live there anymore. You can buy that house and turn it into an office or turn it into a retail building. And those things will do great. They'll make you a lot of money. And it's an easy way to get into commercial real estate. So basically, you're just combining the two into one property. So that's it for this time. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll see you next time on Real Estate Revenue.